our East Asia Clean Steel Initiative have been implemented for over almost 2 years. So very much appreciate all the management support, because I think this is really the key. This is not easy area. That's why there's not many successful stories in the past, like how many, 30 years since, I think like 30 years ago, Charles, you actually worked on the household energy, and of course Dad worked on that. But we did not really have a lot of successful story to tell. So so this 2 years ago that we have this new effort, new attempt to really look into this issue, and with significant support from the management, including the trust fund from our donors. So today I want to take this opportunity to focus, to zoom in on this mechanism called results-based financing mechanism, because we think it's a promising approach that possibly to tackle some of the difficulties we're facing in the sector. And it's a new approach, so we pilot in the 2 countries. And I want to share the thinking process behind the pilot and some of the early progress we have. And I really want to brainstorm with all the experts here and interested participants to see how we either to refine it as we move forward, or scale up, or replicate in some other countries, or in the 2 countries we're doing pilot. So so first, I will introduce this concept, why we're interested in this one. And then I'll talk in detail about the pilot program in China, and then in Indonesia. So the 2 pilots, same framework, very different, because countries are different. And then I will just offer some tentative conclusions from this pilots and the progress so far. So first, what is the results-based financing approach? So about 2 years ago, we have this framework, and I'm happy to share with them. So at the time that, okay, we start to look into the sector, and we try to look for approach can really some of the difficulties that the sector facing, because it's very diverse, it's very dispersed. We look into the household levels, and traditionally, if you look at the past programs, so most programs that if they have scale, they're mostly implemented by the government supported program. Basically, government procure through public procurement approach to buy stoves and give stoves to consumers, households. That's when the government has determination that can be done quickly, fast, easily, relatively easily, and then get it done. So it happens in some countries when they want to tackle into this sector. So it happened in China. China is one of the most successful stories, and happened in India and some other countries, even different scale, but that is 2 largest national programs. That's what they did. So basically, government had to decide what type of stoves they want to buy, in terms of how to specify the technical specification, and they had to choose, okay, who are consumers will receive this stove. So a lot of decisions have to be made by the government. And then the highly subsidies involved, if it's not free. In some cases, it's basically free. Give a stove free, and we claim, okay, we have helped the whole village, whole area access to the cleaner stoves. But then it turns out, in many cases, it's not very successful, because when people receive highly subsidized or even free, okay, they don't care so much. It's definitely they will take it, and then that they may not like it, because this is not a stove they choose. This is given. It's at very low cost, and they may change it, and even after change it, they may still don't like it, and they will blame, oh, the stove didn't work, the government didn't give us a good stove. Basically, the reputation of the program not very good. So that's traditional approach. And now we're looking at the results-based financing approach. So this is a concept that using public policy instruments using public resources, and links the incentives to the actual results delivered. Of course, the result has to be defined by the government. So if you compare the two, you see where the public finance come at a different stage. So at the traditional approach, basically, very beginning, you define the input, you define the technology, you define who are going to receive it, you through the bidding document, you get to the suppliers. And then the RBF approach is basically, okay, we define a set of rules. If anyone, you can deliver this defined results, then incentives, we can provide incentives. So this way that leave a lot of space, flexibility to the private sector. So that's why. So why we want to use this RBF approach. The RBF is not it's relatively new in the stove sector, but also not new in other sectors. I mean, in health sectors, being used in many projects and have achieved very good results. So what are the pros and the cons of using RBF for promoting clean stoves? So first, the investment and performance risk shift. So before a traditional way, the government take all the risks, okay, performance investment risk. And now it's shifted to the private sector. Only when results are delivered and the private sector can receive incentives. And now, so private sector have more flexibility, have space for innovation, because this is critical because stove is close to the consumers. Consumers also so diverse, so dispersed. In order to find a good solution, it's really need to know the local conditions, that including cooking practice, affordability, availability of local resources. There's diverse technology available. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. So that's another advantage. And third one is really support market development. Why support market development? Because in the end, it's private sector take initiative. They put in their investment. They need to find their business model that work. So in the end, what we want in terms of market development is really to nurture, to support development of the private sector. And what are the cons? Because the financing come in when they last delivered, so there possibly the difficulty in terms of pre-financing issues. So we can discuss later if that's really a big issue and how RBF could consider those some cons. So now, when we results-based, the key is results. How you define results. So from the private sector, from the public sector. So when we look, why we enter into the sector, stove sector, because we are looking on some development goals. We care about health, we care about climate change, we care about people's life, quality of life, poverty reduction, etc. But is this the right level of result? I would think that is more of an impact level. So move down to, okay, what is outcome, output, activity, and input. So if we have resources, what do we see? How resources put in which level of results can lead to the output, outcome, and in the end, the impact we're really looking for. So here that when we start this thinking process, we think results-based financing should come into at this output, between output to outcome level. Because we have to also, I will also discuss later in terms of when the public sector want to shift the risks, how much the private sector want to take risks, and how much incentive they demand for that type of risks. Move to the, okay. And so we developed this framework. We call it 3 building blocks and 2 supporting pillars. In terms of 3 building blocks, so one is define the clean stoves. How we define this clean stoves? So that will link to the stove standard testing system, certification system, and credible testing labs that can really certify this is clean stoves. So this is an area, actually, that's the cornerstone, I would say cornerstone of this whole RBF approach. And we put a lot of efforts in these areas. And then the results-based incentive, what level of result incentives linked to what level of results? How much you put? As I think I put in the description note, okay, what's the right level? Too much you don't want to spoil the private sector. Too little you don't want to, like, no one come to this sector. And then the third building block is monitoring and verification system, because in the end, results need to be verified, so you can think have to be credible results. And if it's just to, if we have these three building blocks, is this enough for the market to develop? I think that in many cases probably not enough. It's not like, okay, we give incentives, let the market play. I think in case of a stove sector, it's very complicated. That's why that the market didn't solve it for so many such a long time. So we said that it's important to have two supporting pillars. We call supporting pillars. So one is the institutional strengthening and the capacity building to key market players. And then another one is awareness raising campaign. It really can help to stimulate demand. So before I go into the two pillars, I think it's good to know that where we come from in terms of two countries, because we have two pilots in China and Indonesia. It's good to know what the sector look like in those two countries. So this is a table to compare similarities and difference in terms of demand, supply, and the policy institutions. So from the demand side, so both countries have large population rely on solid fuel. I mean, in Indonesia, bottom 40% rely on basically biomass. And in China, it's over half population still use solid fuel, coal and firewood for cooking and heating. Heating is more important in China. And very diverse in terms of cultural cooking, resources, cooking habits, practice, resources, and socioeconomic conditions. And their cooking fuel and stove stacking is very common. So if you go to Indonesia, very common have two stoves for cooking stoves. In China, even more. They have biogas, they have LPG, they have coal for heating. They have occasionally they also use firewood for large meals. So very, very common. And then it's mostly in rural issues. The key difference is in China, heating demand is much more important, increasingly important. And cooking is more diversified because electrification rate is very high in China. Some people just use electric stove. And also biogas program is has a very high penetration rate in rural areas. And so in terms of the baseline, it's relatively high in terms of people's generally income levels. So that's China. And in Indonesia, so no heating issues and very low electrification rate. So it's very in rural areas. In those islands, very low electrification rate. And so there's very few alternatives, and the baseline is low. So in terms of income level, household, the life standards, and so that's the demand side. So in the supply side, so both countries have large market because demand is there. The market is large enough to create a stove industry, and the industry, but the stove sector itself, the profit margin is very low. So we did the supply chain survey. They have very low profit margin, normally around 10%. And in China does have a commercial market. So has a stove industry that has high capacity. So in coal stove, it's basically commercial. There's thousands of stove enterprises. And in clean biomass stoves, there are hundreds of manufacturers. There are manufacturer capacities that over 1.6 million stoves in 2011. The reason why they have the stove industry is because of the past 20 years ago that China has a national program, so it's helped to develop a new in stone industry. And even now, there are still provincial government-supported stone programs, and the industry, their growth really still depend on the government-supported programs. So in Indonesia, the commercial market is very limited. So many households still use free stone in those remote islands. There are some commercial markets that basically artisan type of stoves. In Central Java, the most popular is Karen. It's about $1 stove, and in Indonesia there's basically no government support. Now we are trying to work with them to have a stove program. And in terms of policy and institutions, so the same this sector itself is not the priority in the government. It's not high on their policy agenda. But in China, still there's at the provincial level, and there's significant government support, and there are some. So I will talk a little about China pilot actually piggybacking on that provincial program. And in Indonesia, there no government support. There are some limited NGO or the donor-driven activities. And I think last year, Indonesia tried to use a traditional approach, that's a procurement approach, to in one area, and like 1,000 stoves was not very. The results again was mixed. So in general, was not there's no big program in Indonesia. Okay, so now I move to the RBF pilot in China. So first, I want to give an overview of activities implemented, because the RBF pilot in China is completely. So maybe we mute here? So the whole pilot design happened in last year, July to October, in terms of select the pilot, development, the implementing the plan, the operations manual, the overall management method, and then the implementation period is basically last year's heating season. And then in December, we hired an MMV team. And then in January and February, they went to the field, they conducted verification, and April it dispersed. So very fast, very fast. So I talk why it's fast implementation. And there are also challenges and issues with this pilot. So now move to the implementation arrangement. So that's the key, that we know the concept now, who is going to do what. So basically, so this pilot is implemented under the CSI TA, so Bank Executive TA. So we work with our counterparts, Ministry of Agriculture, and then local key partner who manage this pilot is this Rural Energy and Environment Agency. It's closely it's like affiliation under the Ministry of Agriculture. And then they work with the provincial local rural energy offices. And then the select stove suppliers and the users. And then we have the MNV team, it's a university. Meanwhile, China has its China Alliance, have group of experts. They can provide the technical advice. So in China, the uniqueness in China is that China already has an institutional implementation network, because that in 1980, 1990, when China has this national program, it's basically from the Ministry of Agriculture to provincial to local rural energy office. So those people already know stove program. They're already doing stove program. So basically, we're using this channel to implement this pilot. So in terms of pilot selection criteria, was we wanted the representativeness of household cooking and heating demand. We wanted to have north and south, and we focus on the heating. Again, that I say the heating is has more demand. It's the key focus of household energy. And traditionally, North normally all have heating demand, while in South actually it's increasing demand for heating because in mountain area it's still cold. There's no district heating required in South area below the Yangtze River. But still, winter is not very warm, especially in mountain areas. And people, when they have higher living standard, they require the demand for better comfortness, so they want high heating. And we want to look for the areas that use biomass stoves. So focus on areas that have reliable biomass resources, because the program focus is not to replace coal heating stove with clean biomass heating stoves. And then, of course, another key selection criteria is willingness and commitment of local government to participate in the RBF pilot. Because we do not provide subsidies. Because you all know that we is under TA program, that we cannot channel our TA funding as subsidies to the consumer, to the household. So we have to rely on the existing provincial government program. So their willingness to try this RBF approach is the foundation, absolutely the basis. Because for them, actually, it's a little bit more work from their traditional approach. Because they get used to, okay, just have a bidding document, select suppliers, and distribute the stove that gets done. Now had to be convinced, okay, let's try this new, different approach, and then that focus on the results, verification, the speed is new. So that's the key. We have to find the local partner that willingness to try this approach, and also the implementation capacity of local partners, including their qualification of local stove suppliers. So here are two pilot areas. One is in north, in Liaoning province. It's in one village. There's the village itself has like 250 households, and it's long heating season from November to March, and the average income level is 2,700. So it's a poor village, because many of the stove programs will target on the poor villages. So it's Gaoshanbao village, and in terms of pilot size, so we have 180 stoves distributed in this village. And then the second one is in Hubei province. It's in the south of China, and a little bit larger village. It's about 500 households, and their household income is even lower. So this is actually a minority region, and so the average household average income per capita is only 640, and the size of the pilot is 300 stoves. So now we talk about, then we want to, in terms of the three building blocks. So the first building blocks is defined clean stoves. So again, in China, it's relatively easy because China has standards, has the heating stove, biomass heating stove standard. So the two technology used in two areas are different. They all biomass heating stove. One is we call the clean cooking and heating stove. It's radiant heating. So basically, they have one stove in one room, and when people cold, they come to the room. There's no stove in the living room. In the bedroom, they may not have this stove, that one stove. And in Liaoning province, Gaoshanbao village, it's clean cooking and water heating stove. So actually, there's pipe connected to the stove, using water to heat the whole house. So both stoves have to meet the published industry standards. There are two standards fitting for two technologies, and have to be certified testing reports. So there's they have this system already in place, in terms of standards, testing centers, and the certification process. Although it's not perfect, we have a separate activity to help to improve the whole system, but it's something started, it's already existing. And then that stove suppliers are reputable enterprise with track records, because when you select the stove, they also need have criteria on the supplier side. And then our local partner, REA, they carried on-site investigation on the capacity and network of stove suppliers. And then we come to the second building blocks. What are the incentives? What are key considerations in terms how you set up this RBF incentives? The one is stove price. So in China, it has market price. Basically, they have been running for years. We know we have better understanding of their supply cost, and what's also procurement cost may not be exact same as the market price, and household willingness to pay. So here we have to consider the household income level. Once we remember that in the North Village, there's a bit around $2,000 per year per capita, where in the South it's 600. Have to consider their willingness to pay, ability to pay, and then subsidy levels, because subsidy level is basically to try to fill the affordability gap. Okay, so here comes the RBF incentives in the end. So say that a stove price is about like 170, 185, and then that the household level. So basically, the subsidies is like more than 50%. It's very high, because that's I would see the reason. One reason is so this pilot is embedded in the provincial program. So in other villages, they are still using the traditional approach, and they have subsidies. So there's neighboring village also have subsidy stoves. They will compare. They will say, oh, okay, that's why that household in there get cheaper, why I don't get cheaper. So that's why we have some back and forth, because we say, okay, it's fairly high. I'd rather have lower subsidies but more household coverage. But in the end, it's negotiations. It's very hard for them. We cannot put subsidies too low. So that's why I said that we have to work under in certain contexts and the constraint. And then there's in terms of the incentives that come from the local government, and we have some additional incentives from the REA, our local partner, based on the final monitoring verification report.
Sorry, I think that's a question. So this first verification here, certification, simply that a sale was made.
Yes.
And then REA, that's a separate verification, and what are they verifying?
Yeah, so I will talk about the verification method and what to verify. So this is basically to say, okay, incentives are made at different stage.
Right.
In the second way, that they will also in the Gaoshanbao village. So basically, the local government make the one incentive payment. One they see the record, the sales record. One they receive the verification report. And in the first Baiguoshu village, that we decided to have two separate. Another. So first gave once there's verification of the sales, they disperse, and then there's additional information that have to be confirmed to get additional. We tell them it's bonus, it's extra bonus.
And who is it? The first two companies?
Manufacturers. Yeah. Here it's linking the results. That's the results levels, and then now the incentive levels. Now it's linking verified results and incentive levels. So we look at the annual cost savings. Replacement means that whether actually the stove can replace the old stove. And indoor air quality, convenience, comfort level, user certification. That's based on the household questionnaire. And in terms of incentive levels, that okay, so if there's no, it's not getting better, it's even getting worse. Of course, there's no incentives. And if it's okay, there's certain improvement, then get half incentives. And it's okay, all include 100% incentive dispersed. So then your question is regarding that third building block of the verification.
Just one question. If you go back to the previous slide, I didn't quite get, are you saying that you're paying the service provider once you have confirmation from the household that the comfort level has gone up, etc.? Okay. After a period of time?
Yes, I will talk about the verification method, right? So this is basically how you define the results. And here's the methodology in terms of, okay, they first will verify the stove enterprise. They will go look at their business lessons, product quality control process, sales invoice, records on training and other sales services, because that's part of recommendation they should have provide training. I will also talk about that later. No, and then that they will conduct household surveys, so using the 20% of sample size. And then that as additional measurement, so this is not very much linked to the incentive, but they will want to see how really the household using stove compared to those households not using. Because remember, it's not 100% household coverage. There are some households in the valley didn't switch to the stove. And then there are actual fuel consumptions and emissions. So in the selected small samples, there are our verification team actually went there and monitored and measured the fuel consumptions, and then extrapolated to see what's the annual savings, etc. And then monitored the emissions in terms of CO, SO2, and PM 2.5 emissions. And here is the verification results. So in general, people are quite happy in terms of annual cost savings. So this is basically I would say it's portfolio approach. So you do a sample, you look at the whole portfolio to see, okay, how households respond to see the stove switching. And so you see that actually the annual fuel savings is quite substantial. If you look at compared to the stove price, the payback period is within or less than 1 year. So actually, this verification results actually provide very convincing information regarding next round. Think about your incentive levels, because one of the comments we had when reviewing past China programs is that they have fast implementation, they have technical support, but they're very weak on the monitoring and evaluation, because that the work has been done. If you evaluate it, sometimes if something happened, it's actually not really fit into your performance. So in general, the culture was not that, okay, we focus on the big numbers, we spend how much money, we distribute how many stoves, but then that not a lot of emphasis in terms of quality of use and certification from the users. So this is the result. So the happy ending is that they all get the incentive. And then we said the supporting pillars was capacity building, training, and awareness raising. So they provide, from our consultant, they provide implementing guidance and training to the local government officials, because it's different from what they normally done before. And then stove suppliers, they collaborate in collaboration with the local government. They have conduct training for villagers throughout the process. So note there are 3 trainings, because they're supposed to have 1 training. And then that in the Baiguo Shu village, after the first training, they have some visits, spot check, because they want to make sure they also receive incentives before verification team went there. they found that during their own investigation, they found that 10% of people are not using the stoves. So they conduct the second training. So ensure that in the end, the household actually all use their stove. So that's why I see where some of these methods are working in some area, because you do see they gave more focus on the after-sales service, on the training, because okay, there are conditions to get the incentives. It's different from before. If you win the bid, you basically should get the prize. And then there are quite a lot of people participating in the training. Especially, I think that some of the stoves that's not need some training to really understand how to use, because the fuel feeding is different, and also there's some installation of how to use the stove.
So the 10% that was not used was because of lack of knowledge and how to use.
Right, right. So that's why they have the additional follow-up training. And then there's also local media to cover this whole pilot. We have the video from the.
What is the set of bookstores being deployed through these programs? Just two bookstores, one for burning fuel wood, one for burning.
All burning biomass.
Two bookstores.
Yeah, one is firewood, another burn pellets. So if you look at this.
Per region, right?
This one is using biomass briquettes. So that's in north. That's water heating. Right.
So why didn't the other bookstore manufacturers want to participate in this program? Was it open for them or not?
Because it is too small. It's only one way, only 200. You can how like to manufacture compete for only 200 stoves. You can, if you think about the scale, there's also a limitation. As I will mention, it's a limitation of that this stove.
Yeah, how long did it take for the manufacturer to receive the last portion of the subsidy?
You see that we have this line, right? This overview in terms. So they did, right? They finished the stove distribution sales November, basically the last heating season, right? And then the final payments made in April. So it's about a half year.
That's a little, that seems really long. For example, if I'm a manufacturer, if I install this, I want my subsidy back as soon as possible.
Yes.
So actually, our experience in Mongolia is that even if we ask them to wait maybe for a few weeks, more than 2 weeks or 3, everyone complains. Everyone went to high-level government saying that we want our money back. Everyone, every manufacturer.
Yes, that's a good point. That's also consideration when we do the pilot in Indonesia. I would also talk about it. But this is the case in China, because I mentioned that because we have to rely on their current system very much, and the incentives in the end comes from the provincial government budget.
Right. And maybe it's also because it's such a small size, the big producers.
Exactly. Right. It's about a pilot to say that how different stakeholders will respond to these mechanisms. We see some of these results, focusing on results, focusing on verification, monitoring verification works, but some there when it go to the larger scale, there will be the how to do some adjustment.
Was the user preference taken into account for the design of the stove during that stage?
So in this case, because stoves already exist, there are already people using the stoves. The general feedback is good. Yeah, that's a part of the selection of the technology. Yeah. So the lessons that you see that it's built on very much rely on the existing stove program. So the good part is fast implementation. Especially if you compare, I will discuss in Indonesia, and then the cons is the limitation on the pilot size. There's no competition. It's not really full market. It's like a we try to incorporate some of these elements on RBF into it. So, but we do see incentives that link to results, lead to improved after-sales service. That's the plan. And this independent M&A provide important data, important quantitative feedback for the next round of the design and implementation. And also the stove suppliers, they develop different delivery models, because you remember that one village have this water heating that require installation. So the model is more like a wholesale. So they will contact with local village head, and the village head will collect who going to buy, who going to pay, to collect the sales list from the participating households, and then they collect money and to the manufacturer. So it's more like a wholesale model. Well, in the Baiguoshan village, that is the installation is much easier. It's only have chimney and it's not a water pipe. So they are using the retail service model, and they sell directly in the village. And then the scale up, we think it should lower the subsidy levels, and more open, more competitions, and can have more eligible stoves and more eligible suppliers.
So how would you describe the objective of the project? Is it market creation or is it acceleration of uptake?
Acceleration of the uptake.
And is it the same in Indonesia?
No, different. So the key difference in China is that it already has industry, already have stove, have industry, have some program, but the program is very ad hoc. So the government this year has some budget, decided to do some stove programs in few villages. Next year, we don't know. So that's the currency. And the way we wanted to think about, use a different approach, not highly subsidized, but if you same amount of subsidies funding, if you lower subsidies, actually you can have bigger coverage. So we want to change in terms how you operate the stove program and focus on the verification from the more market based. But actually the suppliers, they were interested. When we talked to them this approach, they were interested. Because if you're doing the bidding, only a few enterprise can win the bid. Others, this year they cannot. Then they will still do some market sales, but much limited compared to, because they still rely a lot on the government program. So everyone want to win the bid, but it's only a few bids. But if you use the open approach, they can also do their sales and just claim the sales, get incentives based on the results.
As long as they can get finance. One question. Do you have a dollar amount against every attribute, like comfort, they get, I don't know. No. Because those are very subjective indicators, right? It's basically the general from the user's feeling. It's very subjective. One is if you want to quantify link to the internet, it's be very complicated. But you need to decrease the incentive if you don't get a positive response from the household. If you get a positive response only for half of those, would you reduce the incentive to the manufacturer?
Well, I'm following up with the question.
Right. If turns out 50% of people not happy with the do not think it's improved or it's even worse, no, you're not getting incentives.
But you
can only get half. So that's I say it's more like a portfolio approach. If you survey it, because you survey 20% of people, and then if it turns out that half percent people do not like it, it's getting worse, there are no incentives. If it's half percent, it's an improvement, you get half incentives.
So I have a question with regards to verification. So with regards to the disbursement, you mentioned the fact that you're having a sample approach. And so you get a qualitative and quantitative result. Qualitative with regards to the level of comfort, and qualitative with regards to sampling certain results. In case these are come against each other, what is happening? What are the implications? Have you come across?
Not in this case, but I assume that if there's a case there, we have to go back to why they do not mind? Why people like it, but then the the meters tell that it's actually more polluting. That's some serious issues. So in this case, we have that. Yeah, it's small scale. And actually, one village that they link to the also carbon finance project, because they now collect more data. There's in that Hubei province there are CDM project ongoing. Not CDM, but voluntary carbon project is ongoing, and they collect more data as aiming to get some carbon credit in the future.
This is one thing of all levels. I mean, maybe it's time for me. I mean, I would like to introduce myself because it's very important for us. I mean, I'm from a global partnership on output-based state, and we're doing a lot of things with 10 years experience with regards to results-based financing. And energy is one of the areas, and we have been looking for a project in Laos actually. But I mean, I'm together with my colleague here. But the first time that I'm coming across in 6 months with a project that is actually qualitative approaches with regards to disbursement. I mean, this is particularly interesting. I mean, usually we try to identify the disbursement with something that is a bit more quantitative, that we can easily measure. I mean, we found that this is an accelerated process. So that's very easy that we institute.
And maybe to follow up on this question, what if there is a disagreement between the provider and the subsidy, about the subsidy level? We have disagreements in GPOV projects where somebody says, I want 5 million, and we say we can do it, but only 3 million, and 2 million is contested.
Then you have based on the rule, right? And I can discuss more on Indonesia because it's more market-based approach. This one you have to consider. It's China is implementing the facilitated by the government, local government. There are some things.
Yeah, one quick question. What was the cost of monitoring and verification, and was it passed on to the consumer at all? So
in this pilot case, right? So we hire consultants to design to help implement. And we hire the verification. So in this case, it's not passed to the consumers. But I mean, in the future, definitely have to include in the program cost. I mean, if you implement the program, you allocate so much highly subsidized, so you allocate a certain amount, like 10% as verification. It actually will help implementation of the overall program. So in this case, we spend, I did a calculation, it's about 15%
of the retail cost
in terms of the whole stove program, because you think about the whole stove program, the stove cost, etc. It's about 15%. It's not a small number because we actually did a lot of quantitative data collection in terms of actual monitoring. And let's go to the Indonesia because I think it actually is more interesting in Indonesia. Okay. Yeah. So overview in terms. So we spend a lot of time on design this RBF, including institutional arrangement, optional manual, testing methods, setting up testing lab, engagement of private sector. In Indonesia, we are working on basically a blank paper. We have to start from everything from the beginning. The good thing is that we can put a lot of our own thinking and make it as we think, as nice, as reasonable, as good as possible. But the hard part is it takes time. It takes time to do everything from scratch. And then that we have this call for stove technology announced in February. So this is open call. So that's why I say it's market approach. And then once we collect. By end of April, we'll collect actually around almost 20 stove submissions and then start testing. And then in this case, in Indonesia, we use the bank money to do the subsidies. So through the receiving the Active Trust Fund, if you know that it takes time, it takes us a year to get through the whole process. And there's a lot to test. Actually, there's a certain bottlenecks we have to work through and find out a solution, especially in institutional arrangement, because we have to find a way how to get the money to the consumer or to the suppliers, And then finally we signed this one in May, and then we have launch of the program in August. And then that the testing is almost finished, and we aim for announcing the testing results and then have open call for market aggregators, we call it, more of the stove suppliers. And then that will run the pilot program by end of next year. But I see that there are a lot of thinking behind of this pilot. I mean, Doug was the weather company have struggling how to, one way in terms of theory, how to make it perfect, and then how to think about reality, how to make it happen. So that's the overview. And in terms of implementation arrangement, so our counterpart is their Directorate of Bioenergy. It's under Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. And then the key is how to channel the RBF incentive fund. So we talk about the arrangement. We have a lot of back and forth. Beginning with okay, we cannot channel from the World Bank side, but we gave it to the government. Government can channel incentives. But then they said, no, we cannot do it. We either give the stove for free, or we just cannot charge from the consumers, because from their mandate is that we cannot charge from the consumers. If it's used as a social good, it can give it free. But we say, oh, no, free, you're not going to create a market. So a lot of back and forth. Procurement issues that they cannot we say, okay, you can find an intermediary to channel the subsidy, but they cannot work it out. So in the end, we find a commercial bank. It's BRI. It's one of the largest state-owned commercial bank in Indonesia. It has the largest network in terms of rural areas. So they are able to. They in the end we provide a grant to them to manage the RBF fund. And then that in terms they'll have technical committee to advise the program, and then we also set up in Indonesia Stove Alliance, and then also market facilitator to help build the capacity of different state players. And then we had to set up a pilot program testing center. It takes us a long time to set up it. And we work with an NGO, and we're able to get a donor parallel financing from AFD. So they provide funding to set up the lab, because again, World Bank TA money cannot buy equipment, so we have to work with all the constraints. And then that we also have the monitoring and verification team hired. So that's why I say we have 2 RETF grant. The one is to the government in terms of our program, in terms of national lab and our program design and management, and then a separate grant to the BRI. It's very small. This is just a pilot phase. So here is the overall disbursement arrangement. So once the market aggregator, if they are eligible, they're eligible to participate in the program. They're based on announced eligible stoves. They will sign an implementation agreement with BRI. So in terms of, okay, how much I plan to sell, and what's the total sales, etc. And then once they start to sell, they sell stove to the users, and then submit the sales report to BRI. And BRI will pass to the verification team. And the verification team will verify the sales report. And then verify, including, I will talk to the verification methodology. And then once it's confirmed, BRI will disperse the payment to the market aggregators. So the pilot selection criteria, again, that we want to have more representative of the household cooking demand conditions, and also implementation capacity of local partners. So what we select is one as the Yogyakarta Central Java area, which our local partner is based. It has a high population density, high concentration of wood users, and biomass is quite abundant, and it's covered by the RPG conversion program. So in Indonesia, it implemented a largest kerosene to RPG conversion program, and this Central Java is covered. So which means that households have access to RPG, and subset RPG, actually, the 3 The smaller bottle is subsidized by the government, and but still in that area, in rural area, highly relies on biomass usage, and it has a good logistics network. So central bank, in terms of shipping, logistics, it's fairly good. And then another pilot is Sumba Island. So Indonesia has a lot of small islands that's representative in terms of low population density, but highly relies on wood. And the biomass is more scarce. In that island, it's more dry. And not covered, that island is not covered by RPG conversion program. Because of logistically, it's hard for RPG program to go there. And it's quite a poor region. And the logistics network is also, most stuff is imported by Java Island. So, but okay, so I put it second phase because right now the first it's definitely a more difficult area to do the cook stove program, and now we have a letter of collaboration with ADB that they have a program there, and they agree that once our program is ready, they will also using our approach to do the pilot in Sumba Island. So how the define the clean stove? Again, it's from the scratch. We're doing this from the scratch. We have developed a new testing method. And actually, I will do a advertisement. So next week, we'll actually have our technical expert, Crispin, that he will come to talk about the testing method that's used in Indonesia, because I think that's quite an innovative way of doing stove testing that incorporate local cooking practice based on the field results, field studies, and detailed household cooking surveys. And I think we have some promising results to present to see how this can be used, maybe also scale up in other places. It's also in discussion right now in Guatemala on the ISO process. It may be also provide input to the ISO development on the stove standards. And then this, we developed this star rating system. So based on the key performance, so it's performance-based rating in terms of efficiency, in terms of emission factors, and then safety, environment, and durability. So the key that metrics from the lab would be the overall efficiency, CO emissions, and PM2.5 emissions. And then based on different levels, we have level of rating. So since our announcement on February 10th, we actually received 22 stove technologies from 15 companies. Actually, it's quite encouraging. At the beginning, we were worried, okay, who's going to submit the stoves? So you see that some are quite modern, right? And some are local produced, some are international, and some from China. Actually, the last day of the closing date, when we had a tour in China, and we spot one with part, and they said, oh, it looks promising, it looks nice, it's shining. It's from here, it looks very good, and testing result is also very promising. So that day they submit this stove. And also there are some traditional one that it's super Anglo, it's more artisan type improve the stove. So how we define the incentives? So we have the key considerations. So one, there's no market yet for clean cook stove to find the market. So there's no market price. And the supply cost could be high, because if you think about if it's from the overseas, the tariff logistic cost could be high. And so we roughly estimate in terms of categories of stove we're looking for, like 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, right? 1 star, think about more improved, artisan type improved, in the range of $5 to $10. And then the more manufacturer type of stove, like 15 to 30. And then more advanced stoves, like 50 plus. So this is very rough estimate based on our understanding of different technologies. And then that we think the RBF incentive need to be sizable enough to attract stove suppliers, because basically you have to create a market in Indonesia. You have to, from the scratch, from the private sector perspective, it's also from the scratch. So which means there are a lot more upfront investment and risk involved. But we think that still should not be too high to exceed more than the stove cost. And then that also results need to be defined simple and clear with fast disbursement. So just now we talk about the challenge, what will be there. We have to think about from the private sector perspective, what are the risks involved and how fast they can get incentives. So that's how it is designed. So incentives level, so we link incentives with star ratings. But we have different options in terms of just simple, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. And another would be the more progressive. So we count number of stars. Each star have different, the higher star is harder to get and the higher level of incentives involved. So right now we're more in favor of option 2, especially we found that for stoves, efficiency sometimes is not very correlated with emissions. So we see some fairly clean stoves. In terms of emissions, they could be like 1/10 of the baseline, but efficiency is not that like 1/10, like a triple of the efficiency from the baseline. So that's the incentives, and then link with the verification results. So we define results in 2. One is the stove sales, another stove usage. So once stove sales report is submitted and verified, they can get 70% incentives. And then we'll do another level of verification in terms household on-site visit to check if they still use it. And based on that, then another 30% of the incentive can be disbursed.
Are they free to charge any price they want in the account? Or are they free to charge a market-based price
Yes.
and then still collect the subsidy?
Yes. So we do not have a requirement in terms of stove price. So here is the verification method. So one way is simple, easy to implement. Basically, bring list of the stove sales and contact people have phone numbers. So phone number, cell phone penetration rate is very high in Indonesia. And then we call. Basically, the first stage is based on the phone call of the verification, and then calculate the number of confirmation, calculate the percentage of confirmation. And then we give some like benefit of doubt. So if it's reached 80%, we'll give 100% incentive disbursement. The way to give some room for, because things may not be perfect. So that's why that's the thinking behind. And the second stage is much smaller sampling. How to go to visit the household to see whether we'll do a small questionnaire to see whether it's being used and collect some additional data. And then based on that to disperse second one. And then we aim that after the first month of the verification report received, the team will go to the field. So the total turnaround hopefully within 3 months. So institutional strengthening and capacity building, because I think this is key. In China, it already has institutions that are working their way, but in Indonesia, again, it's coming from the scratch, basically from the blank paper. So we think institutional really need 3 key parts. One is institutional campaign. So we have this identified campaign and really support the Directorate of Bioenergy to be a leader in the sector. And there's a cross-sector coordination mechanism. So there's a CSI technical committee that is from representatives from different line ministries. And then a platform for communication, learning, and cooperation to support. We have provided funding to help to establish this alliance, Indonesia Stove Alliance, and capacity building to key market players. Basically, we have to engage. We have to find who are the private sector who are interested and want to do the business. So we spend a lot of effort in terms of engage the private sector. So we develop the business case, engage and secure the letter of intentions from the potential private companies, and we assess the needs of them to build capacity for them. And then we focus on the technical assistance to those market aggregators. So we are thinking also, well, the sum of engaged players there, you can tell some are more of manufacturers, some are more of distributors. So we try to help to partner them. So what we call is that to form a business enterprise network. So because what we target support is we call market aggregators. Basically, they respond to the program. They will have to submit their application and then in the end submit the sales report. But they have to organize themselves in terms of, okay, who's going to manufacture, who shape it, who will distribute and retail, wholesale and retailing channel, etc. So that's why I say that the key is to how to holding their hand to help them to create a business and really develop, we hope them to succeed. So that's the purpose. And the various campaign that we focus on, the one is the program level, so general from the government system. So we already have some press conference, workshops, community meetings, and then through public media. So right now we are organizing a competition to design the posters, the public campaign material, like posters or the logo, and even some video to help the public campaign. And then target on the training to health practitioners, because based on our survey, not even health practitioners are not aware of this issue. And then we'll also, for the eligible store, we'll also have this label to help to raise the certified CSI label to help raise the awareness. And then at the product level, I think that's actually is more important. So market aggregator, they have to find their way to market their product. So we'll help. Okay, so again, that I say that this is a small pilot. The key, I think, is to have this vision, have this roadmap to bring all key partners. When we engage private sector, we'll now see, okay, we're looking at a few thousand stores. We're looking at, this is a pilot. This way, at the pilot first phase, first movers have higher risks, but they probably also have higher returns because you now have this targeted support. But of course, you have to commit from your side. But we're looking at the bigger market, a vision. That's why I say that Indonesia has a market big enough to establish the industry. So that's why we have this vision in terms of a roadmap to achieve universal access by 2030. So now the baseline is the minimum penetration. Now we are in the pilot phase from 2014 to 15. And then we looking at a national program that to deliver 10 million biomass cook stoves by 2020. That means like 40% market penetration in the clean stove, biomass stove market. And then, of course, the long region is that if there is a sustainable business, there is market there, and then if we're able to reach 40% penetration, so it's likely would transform the market toward really the clean cook stove market. Okay, so lessons learned very quickly. So that's mentioned that in this case, when there's no major program, no major players in the sector, we build on the playing plate to lots of thinking behind, so we can design more full market-based RBF, although it takes longer. And finding the right institutions arrangement are essential. So we had a lot of struggles at the beginning, but then I think it's set up now. It seems working. And the design needs to be flexible and adjustable. Again, this is a pilot program, so we are still learning by doing. And even the incentive levels, we're thinking to do some adjustment. And then that the key is still need to consult with key stakeholders to ensure they're buying. And then, but I think this more market-based approach shows some promise of tracking private sector. Okay, so last slide. We think it's RBF. It's a useful way to integrate the key elements of promoting clean stove. As I say, the key building blocks and supporting pillars. And but the detailed design. So after like more than a year implemented, I think this framework still holds. But the detailed design really need to depend on the country context. And it could vary significantly. You can see from in China and in Indonesia, very different. And we need to balance risks and risk premium of the private sector. So as beginning I mentioned, okay, we want to look at the impact level, the program development goals, but you also have to think from the private sector perspective. What are risks they are facing? And if higher risk, they will ask for higher premium. And if it's too high, they will walk away. They will not be interested. And so this monitoring and verification that in this framework can really help provide useful feedback for the design adjustment. So and once the framework is set up, I think the scale up could be relatively easy. So now in China and in Indonesia, we're all looking at the ways to scale up, including different funding sources, to make it a more scalable program that can really make impact. So right now, it's just small pilots testing the method to test how the market will respond. But in the end, we want to really to scale up and to help to develop a sustainable market. Thank you.